Grief is very weird, and it's because it's so complex. It's so many experiences, emotions, and thoughts all at once. It's frustration, it's depression, it's anger, it's irritation, it's sadness, sorrow, despair, anguish, dread. There's so many different emotions that are hard to identify that all look like the same when you're really going through it. But that's also part of the reason why grief is so devastating but beautiful, you know? It's something that comes and goes as it pleases, and something that your body just experiences, you know? And your body doesn't know the difference between time, so it doesn't know past, present, and future. Your brain just perceives that and makes you understand that further in your body's experience. And so, I say that to say, like, not only is grief complex in itself, just for the feeling of it, but it's also the thought associated with it. And I feel like the time that I thought about this the most was, or that it was when I learned of what I call anticipatory grief, was when my mom got her cancer diagnosis in her stage, and I imagined a life without her already. And that was devastating, but I also was getting ahead of myself because, here she is, like almost 10 years later. But life and grief in that way can be devastating, but it's also so beautiful, because grieving or to grief just means that you care. It just means that you've given a damn. And to have given a damn in a world that wants you to give less fucks is so beautiful. Grief can be a blessing and a curse, as is to care. But it also is beautiful when we just let it exist and don't try to hide it. It's super easy to consume, and try to bury it. But it always resurfaces, because grief doesn't work on your time, it works on its time. It works on your body's time. And it will cause that and will show you that in multiple different facets. And it will force you to realize that as it comes up. You don't grieve just death. You don't grieve just potential death. You grieve stages of life. You grieve transformations that you've had. You grieve relationships. You grieve car accidents. You grieve opportunities lost. You grieve that job that you didn't get. You grieve that career path you wanted to take that you didn't. You grieve the experiences that you wanted to try but were too afraid to. That causes so much anger, frustration. It causes so much depression, anxiety. It causes so much exhaustion, amongst other things, fatigue. But this is all to say, it means that you've given a fuck. And to care is marvelous. So grief is very weird, because it's everything all at once. And yet at the same time, it can also feel like nothing. Until it does. Grief is weird.